Yes, where are we? Well, here we are, the end of November, gentle people. Wagwan, Sanjay Uchiha here, and as we do here every month for the last. How long has it been? I'm losing track of time. Maybe about 3 years now, maybe 4. Who knows? But yeah, welcome to the end of month subscriber stream, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. For those of you who will be watching live or will be rewatching I guess the stream once it goes up, shout out to you guys. Hope you guys are doing great. We're coming down to the end of the year. I guess for the most of you guys that are in the US, I guess happy Thanksgiving. We don't really celebrate that here more so like that, but getting into the culture that kind of sweeps in from the US, we did have a bit of Black Friday, discounts to say the least. So here we are. But anyway, we have two main things to talk about for this stream that I have on my agenda, which is Attack on Titan and Boruto, two Blue Vortex. Naturally, for those of you that are subbed or who even checked it out, I did do I think outside of a live stream, this is my longest video ever. I did do a collaborative reaction review to the final episode of Attack on Titan, which was 3 hours, so it's insane. Honestly. So I totally understand if you didn't check that out, but if anything, the plan is to talk with you guys regarding Attack on Titan and its finale, which even it being 2 years since the manga ended, even up to now, it's still a widely debated ending for persons that hated or loved it. And surprisingly, it does seem like persons who watch the anime version or who were anime only loved the ending. I still stand to my points from my my latest reaction review to the ending that I think my opinion on the ending has evolved, and I think it's actually a decent ending. Like I would say a 7, definitely a 7 out of 10. There are definitely a lot of things that really drags it down to a 7 for me, but I think I'm looking at things a bit differently now compared to when the manga ended. Granted, even with the manga version, I didn't hate it per se. I remember giving it a 6.5 and then moving to a 5.5 with additional pages, but I think my opinion has evolved, and I feel confident giving the ending a 7 out of 10. So that's one thing I want to talk with you guys about regarding it. And of course, things are at an interesting point for the Boruto story with 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 4. The first volume has ended for the the time skip, which is interesting stuff if you ask me, but we'll be tackling all of that in just a second here. Got my Attack on Titan, I got my 2 Blue Vortex stuff up here for the most part, and of course I have Discord when the time is right for you guys to actually jump in for the most part. So depending on the stream goes, I don't really have any time that I necessarily plan for how long the stream is going to go. It just depends on the vibes and turnout. Nobody here right now, but it's whatever. So I guess let's get into it. So Attack on Titan. I mean, that ending, right? Like Mappa really went all in with the final episode of Attack on Titan, the final season, part 4, part 3, part 2 part 2 are season 4, part 4, if you want to just keep it somewhat simple. But I'm not gonna lie, Mappa really did an awesome job when it came on to that final episode, from the directing, the choreography of everything, of course, as per usual, the music choice with Attack on Titan, just first class, honestly. And I know persons who don't like the ending will come out and say, anime onlys are blinded by the fact that the pretty colors and the flashing lights are just the medium, the presentation, which it's obvious. You're reading a manga verse and getting an anime adaptation, it's 2 different forms of presentation. So the persons who hear the ending are kind of on that, persons are distracted by it. And again, like I was saying before, it's definitely not a perfect ending. There are a number of things I could list off. I think Isayama could have done better. And for the persons who say that, I think, and I even watched Gigok's review on it, I think he kind of encapsulated, I think, the general vibe that Isayama brought to the ending perfectly, where it's like everything before, and I'm paraphrasing here, everything before was kind of like this kind of tight knit story, and the ending is kind of like you make like you're in the Olympics. What's the term for them? Not gymnasts. Anyway, yeah, you make a backflip and you kind of land, and you're trying to kind of make sure you keep your balance and kind of wobble a bit, and then you eventually get it. Yeah, I think that kind of perfectly encapsulates, I think, the total vibe when it comes on to the ending of Attack on Titan, honestly, because like, if we're being objective, I think with all the problems that the ending had, objectively, that's how it feels. But I don't think it's to the point where it's like some persons are calling it the worst thing ever. So there's definitely that. No, like, I just think this Armin face is funny, so that's why I have it up here. But anyway, the point is, what I've realized when it comes on to the ending of Attack on Titan, it's usually comes down to these few things that persons like criticize to varying degrees. When one, Mikasa being the chosen one, and of course, as an extension of that, Ymir's involvement, or just fleshing out Ymir in the ending, Titan Centipede, and of course the mechanics of the abilities, and the big one, of course, Eren's characterization, or either the assassination or the maintenance of Eren's character. I would say it depends on how persons perceive Eren's character and what he was going for. That's where I realize persons kind of have, I think that's where a lot of the, what should I put it, the polarizing opinions really come from. So, and then when you combine with the previous four things I mentioned in terms of Mikasa, Ymir, Titan Centipede, the mechanics of some abilities, and it not necessarily being clear cut, I think that kind of adds up to that general vibe that the ending wasn't as like a close-knit, tightly written, perfect ending that it could have been. But I think it was still a decent ending. Now, I've said before in my review, like, personally, I think the first issue would have been Mikasa being the chosen one, quote unquote, to, and I mean, obviously at this point, spoilers for the end of Attack on Titan, clearly, but anyway, so I still think it comes down to one, Mikasa being the chosen one being a problem. And I could see what Isayama is going for, but to me, it kind of seemed like, okay, by this point in the story, I kind of have this parallel setup where we have Mikasa and Eren, and you have Ymir and the King, and it's like, to me, it just seems like a last second tacked on thing where, oh, I kind of have these set pieces, these parallels, so let me just make use of it to kind of end it. And it doesn't seem like, I don't think there was enough subtle hints to the whole Mikasa Ymir connection outside of the parallels that Isayama had between the two pairs of characters at the end of the story. So it kind of comes off like it comes out of nowhere. And then when you kind of drop lines of, oh, why Mikasa? Oh, only Ymir knows, fam. it kind of comes off like, what? You know? So I definitely think that's one of the issues. But it's still 50-50 because obviously you have the parallels between Eren and Mikasa and Ymir and the King. So it's not 100% bad, but definitely the build up to that could have been better. You know, like, I think I may have mentioned it in the review where you could probably go back to an episode where, like, oh, Eren's a Titan. And you go back to a scene where, like, he hit his head in train and you see the smoke above. It's like, oh, you go back to this, oh, so that makes sense now, you know? Yeah, I don't think we have a moment like that. And then it's kind of ambiguous when it comes on to, you know, Mikasa's headaches and Ymir, you know, looking into, quote unquote, looking into her head or mind. It's kind of ambiguous if that's what was causing the headaches, because even if you go back to like a compilation video on YouTube of all Mikasa's headaches, it's not to the point where I could say like, oh yeah, that could definitely be like reference to Ymir. It makes sense that she has a headaches in these moments, which would make a connection to Ymir. It's not like that. So I'll definitely say that's definitely one of the issues. Um, Again, even with Ymir, it's more of like a 50-50 thing where I think we could have like fleshed things out a bit more with her, but at the same time, could I say she's more of a plot device? But I think we could have gotten just a bit more from her, essentially. But I think it comes down to the message that Isayama was trying to achieve in terms of either overcoming trauma, essentially, overcoming that cycle, and Mikasa being the one to be that for Ymir. But I think what kind of makes it a bit iffy when you get into the specifics is like you kind of have to ask. So for all the Eldians throughout these last 2,000 years, you're telling me like Ymir couldn't really find anybody else to really break her curse, right? It's like it's like not enough is shown to us to really convince me why that has to be the case. Yeah, we know throughout the entire series Mikasa has been like her character has been tied to Eren, fine, but when it comes on to this wide spanning reach of history, like it doesn't, it's like the foundation for why Ymir chose Mikasa kind of ties in with Mikasa being like point number one being an issue. So it's like points number one and two in terms of the issue with the ending kind of are tied together. So yeah, pretty much that. But they're 50-50 issues, so it's bad and not so bad. No, I will say the Titan Centipede is another 50-50 thing because depending on how you interpret it, it's kind of like I would say a representation of life. But the fact that like after Eren dies, it just dies and we don't really say anything about it anymore. It's like it kind of feels odd. You can't just leave that massive plot element in the wind, and it's not like an afterthought of a plot element. It's like one of the central things to the quote-unquote power system, if you want to put it like that, within Attack on Titan, and it just seems like it comes off like an afterthought, you know. So that's the thing when it comes down to that. But I think the flip side of that as well is like if you really tie things in to Armin and Zeke's speech or conversation and putting it in a nutshell, at the end of the day, life will find a way, and tying that back into the person, or I would assume Mikasa's descendant in the far future, coming back to the tree, representing that cycle, and just representing that life will find a way. I think it's almost a 50-50, but again, it kind of comes off similar to the whole Mikasa and Ymir situation where, again, I think most things being left up to interpretation is fine, but I think we did a little more details and nuance to it would have been appreciated. I believe it could have done a world of good right there. So yeah, so there's that. Now the next thing is the ambiguity when it comes on to the power mechanics in the end, because I was saying it in the reaction review that I had with my Virgin Ray, where like for example stuff like, oh, killing Zeke probably shouldn't stop the rumbling, or the fact that the Titan Centipede has left Eren. Zeke is dead. How is Eren able to actually still transform into a Titan, etc., etc.? Little things like Eren's, memory, like not time travel, but his memories of the future, and did he have a choice, etc., etc. Little stuff like that. It can be a bit ambiguous, and for some things, when it comes on to the power mechanics issues, I will say it like that, is that for some of it, I think if you take a nuanced look, some of the stuff can be explained, but it kind of comes down to a lot of things are left up to interpretation. Granted, in my reaction review with Ray, a lot of things I kind of had a new perspective. Like for example, if we take things one by one, where okay, cool, the first thing, Zeke being killed, stopping the rumbling, right? And it was implied that Eren essentially quote unquote freed Ymir and that he had full access to the founder regardless of Zeke. So that really shouldn't stop the rumbling. But I also pointed out the fact that even after Eren quote unquote freed Ymir, the fact that after that point we had your eyes still kind of grayed out in the past, I think that was kind of symbolic for the fact that they really weren't free. and that Eren still really needed the power of like a Titan with royal blood, essentially. That could be one thing. Or, like we were saying in the review, is that even with the conversation that Armin had with Zeke, and that epiphany that, you know, both of the characters had, that more like resonated within the past to the other persons that eventually came back to help them, as well as Ymir, who, you know, Armin confirmed is seeking something from them, some kind of connection. Maybe Ymir kind of, like, without Isayama explicitly saying it, probably came back and said, okay, she'll go back to, you know, serving the royal family, or technically she wasn't really free because she needed Mikasa for that, and really killing Zeke kind of stopped the rumbling, essentially. So that's why I know to look at it. But I will admit it can feel a bit flip-flopping without getting explicit details for some things. But yeah, and other things seem like they're left up to interpretation, so that's one way to really look at it. So there's that, at least. Now, in terms of Eren still having the power of the, like, being able to transform into a Titan even after losing Zeke and the Titan Centipede, which is apparently the source of, you know, the Titan powers, at least, I'm looking at it potentially future Eren probably at one point just sent that transformation to Eren in that point, even though he lost the connection at that point. Probably sent it beforehand and ensured that he would be able to transform at that point. But you get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of things are left up to interpretation. So there's that as well. Now, in terms of, I would say even the memories of the future as well. I've said it before, like, I personally think the future in Attack on Titan can be changed. And this is going to sound contradictory, obviously, but at the same time, it can't be changed because in this case, it's what the characters want. You know what I mean? Because, and I think Ray, my version that did the reaction review with me, said it best. For the persons who probably hate the ending, right? I think probably in 5 to 10 years, you'll probably have a different opinion on the ending if you like rewatch it again. Because the story overall is a cautionary tale when it comes on to human nature, and I think when it comes on to something that you want and you have the ability to do it, it kind of comes down to not should you do it, like if you can do it. Is that whole hold on, let me get my thoughts right. You know, like in terms of scientific advancement, like in like certain fiction, you know, a character might ask, like in, you know, I think it was from like one of the recent Jurassic World or Park movies, whatever, like in the quest for scientific advancement, right? Even though we can do something, we didn't stop to ask, should we do it? And I think that's what it comes down to when it comes down to the, like, Eren like saying, yo, I tried this, and this, but everything still remained the same. So I think it comes down to that, where the future just couldn't be changed because it's what Eren wants. And it comes down to, let me see if I can find it here. Hold on. I believe from chapter 132 or 131, Eren himself even says it, where even if everything was decided from the start, everything that happened is still what he wanted, essentially. So there's essentially that. Now, I will say there's one and two moments where it seems like Eren's testing this whole future memories thing, but I will admit that probably could have had a bit more shown to us. So there's that. But all of that aside, I think the big thing coming out at the ending is everyone's perception of Eren's character, essentially, and that is the polarizing thing when it comes on to different persons' opinions on the ending, essentially. So some person are saying, was he trying to make his friends heroes? Did they try to redeem Eren for what he did in the ending? I mean, he did kill 80% of humanity, and you know, did he do it for nothing? Because the island does get bombed like 100 or 200 or 1,000 years later, no matter how you look at it. And it's, you know, all these different varying opinions when it comes on to Eren and his character. I will say, based on what I've seen, some persons do misinterpret Eren and his character. And I think when you really put it into perspective, like Eren really is a character, a person that has a lot of trauma, honestly, for a 19-year-old person with godlike powers by the end of the by the end of the series. And I think persons really need to put that into perspective as well. Some persons would want to paint Eren as a good person. Some persons will want to paint him as a horrible person. But as I said before, it comes down to the fact that the story is more so a cautionary tale when it comes down to human nature. And I think that's what is represented in Eren. And I think to really get the full grasp, or the full, how should I put it, the full appreciation for what Isayama was going for with his character, is to really acknowledge both sides of the coin, that is Eren, the good guy, and the demon, the devil of Eldia, of parody, essentially. So that's basically it. If we really go back to like certain scenes, right, especially like in season 4, we kind of, oh, Isaac, what's up, man? Yeah, it's true. If we go back to certain scenes in season 4, or even before that, I think what's important too is you gotta have a clear understanding of what quote unquote freedom means for Eren, essentially. And it kind of comes down to, if we were to just reduce it to its bare bones of what it is the world that he saw in Armin's book. And it seems kind of stupid to kind of reduce it to that, because some person would want to paint him as, oh, the freedom fighter for Eldia and everything and all of that. But, and probably that is a part of it too, but not to the degree that seeing a world that was just flat and uninhabited by humans, right? Now, I've also said before that when it comes on to really understanding, wait, Cole, what's up, man? I'm here. Hold on. I realized that the chat, oh, it's alright, it looks alright. Yeah, I realized that persons don't realize that Eren's priorities change. It's kind of like a subtle nuance type of thing when it comes on to the story, because Isayama doesn't explicitly tell us a lot of things. You kind of have to, oh, stream lagging a bit, really? Doesn't really say any drop frames for me, which is odd. Hold on, let me look at it on my phone here. Hold on. No. Strange. Probably refresh code. I don't know. Seems alright. I'll probably when I look back. But I'm not seeing any drop frames in OBS or anything. Yeah, maybe. Alright, fair enough. But anyway. Lost my train of thought there. But anyway, yeah, I was saying that Eren, when it comes on to season 4, it's more about changing priorities, right? Because I think what persons have to realize is that after getting to the sea at the end of season 3 and asking the question, like, if we kill all of our enemies over there, will we finally be free, right? I think it's one of those moments like you'd in real life where you'd have a thought, like a despicable thought, but obviously like, yo, I wish that person could have just no, but you don't, like, you wouldn't really like legitimately go and do that. And I think that's like the seed of things when it comes on to Eren at the end of season 3. Because from the flashbacks in the final season, we see that he didn't want to like just jump to the rumbling, even though at his core he wanted that, right? And of course he saw everybody over across the sea as his enemy, as he's told, you know, Reiner in the basement in season 4 before the declaration of war, fine. But I think after things were kind of getting out of hand in terms of their options being lessened, in terms of Hizuru and them not wanting to necessarily help, and they were running out of options, he kind of committed to the rumbling, because again he still saw everyone outside the island as his enemy. No, and that's what that led to him like meeting with Flock and Elena and all of that. But the thing is, when he went overseas now and saw that the persons overseas were just like the persons on the island, that's what makes the link between him and Reiner. That's why he eventually says he's just like Reiner, because he wants the rumbling and he wants to destroy everybody outside the walls, but he realizes that the persons outside the island are just like everybody on the island. And he's like, okay, I realize that there are good and bad people here, but I still want what I want. And that's the parallel between him and Reiner, which goes back to the whole line that Reiner says, like, I'm such a half-ass piece of shit. Like, if only, I never met you guys and all of that. Because Reiner himself is like, there are no devils on the island, but he still wanted to be a hero. So that's the parallel between, like, Eren and, Reiner there. So, and that's why Eren eventually apologized to Ramsey, essentially, because he wanted it. He wanted to wipe out the world, essentially. You want Emerald, Zoro cutting Kaido. Oh yeah. You definitely need to finish Wano, dog. But you're on a good path right there. You're going good. But yeah, so there's that. So Eren committed to the rumbling there and going ahead with Zeke's plan. Well, pretend to go ahead with it. And persons will say that given that Eren could see the entire time and he could have saved so many persons, but I think Eren just realized that, okay, these persons just have to die for what I want, essentially. But I think at the same time, he kind of tacked on the whole, if I'm gonna do this, at least let me just make my friends like heroes. Even though it's kind of contradictory where he says he doesn't know if they are going to survive, much less, but let me at least set things up for that. So I think when it comes on to when he meets Ymir No and realizes that, oh, Mikasa is the chosen one, is like island friends, island friends, yeah, and then what my vision of, my perverted vision of freedom, and then above all, let me at least get rid of the curse of the Titans, essentially. So it's more of a compromise. I think based on honestly your experience and how the world view Parasite, I mean, it's down to such a complex. Yeah, it's true. And the thing is, you have to kind of juggle in Eren's character and who he is. He's not much of the, let me do this strategically type, a person, essentially. So combine that with all the trauma he's gone through and the fact that what I was saying earlier, where you kind of have this power. It's not, should I do this, but I can do this, why not? So it's more like Eren kind of just gave in to his nature, essentially. So it is a complex situation, and I think it can be discussed like for years coming on. I think Attack on Titan is just going to be dissected. But outside of that, and the fact that the anime does touch up the conversation between Armin and Eren, I think it's a superior version of it, where Eren says, like, even though I tried all these different futures, the reason that all this happens is because I'm an idiot with power, so I just committed to it, essentially. So there's definitely that. But that's basically it. Eren's priorities just changed, really and truly. Eren genuinely wanted to destroy the world, but I think, well, not what I think, it's just his priorities changed, and he placed the whole getting rid of the curse of the Titans above his desires, essentially. So yeah, I think that's basically it. And of course, the whole matter of the island getting bombed like later on, granted, it's just, I mean, yeah, you can kind of complain and say, Eren should have like wiped out, did 100%, but it's just really the whole, as I keep saying, the cautionary tale about human nature, that conflict will persist. It was never about ending the conflict. That was not Eren's goal. That's not, like, I think some persons probably might have thought like, yo, Eren wants to be prime minister or president of LDR. No, that's not Eren, fam. Eren just really wanted to like wipe out the world, essentially, but at the same time he has people he cares about. It's not like a black and white situation, really and truly, because I know persons who want to like paint like, yo, Eren definitely just wanted to wipe out the world, which is true, but it's not as black and white as that, and again, it's that human nature sign, teal, essentially. I don't know if I'm really missing anything there, but yeah. But I think with how Mappa really handle things, the anime version definitely comes out better than the manga version, honestly. But I think it mainly comes from Armin and Eren's conversation being kind of a bit changed and fleshed out a bit more. And to be honest, even to this day, I've seen other YouTubers still kind of misinterpret, Eren's character, which is kind of frustrating sometimes when you're watching it. Sometimes you'll watch a video and you're on point, and they mention like one line about Eren, like, no, you're totally wrong on that. That's not who Eren was, honestly. So there's definitely that. Um, but I'm pretty sure I might have missed one thing in this little Attack on Titan discussion, but honestly, I'm always open to talk about it. Of course, I will be dropping into the Discord so you guys can come into the voice chat at some point, if you want to talk more. So definitely, but I'm always open to talk about Attack on Titan in the future. So anything I miss here, I can definitely talk about another time, if anything. And besides, I've already done a 3-hour video. You can definitely go back and watch that, fam, because that was crazy. Like, I should have expected that video would have been like 3 hours, honestly. Initially, I was kind of committing that it would have been 2, but fam, woo, 3 hours and 3 minutes. Definitely check it out piece by piece when you guys get it. I think I go over, naturally being 3 hours, go over things in more detail with that video. So yeah, it's a fun watch. I would want to do some more joint reaction reviews like that, with like a guess. It was definitely fun, definitely different. So there's that. What do you think Ymir played in Eren's decision or outcome? Yeah, that's the next thing too. In what's very ambiguous when it comes on to Ymir's role, and that's why, even though I kind of stress more so on the Ymir, Mikasa, or Ymir's like fleshing things out in terms of Ymir deciding on Mikasa, that could stretch to Eren as well, because some persons want to say like, okay, probably her spirit was eventually divided into the 9, and the attack time is kind of like just a piece of Ymir's soul that wanted to be free, and that's what influenced Eren. Some persons don't want to look on it like that. Of course, you have the first episode, to you 2000 years from now, paraphrasing here, and then you have that episode from you 2000 years prior. It's hard to say in terms of Ymir's influence on Eren. Honestly, I'm not gonna pretend like I know. I can only speculate and theorize. Let me think about it a little bit here. Of course, you had Eren going in, giving her that speech, essentially. And then, of course, Eren coming to realize... the thing is, obviously some interactions in paths were off-screen. Obviously, that had to be the case. But, of course, Eren come to the realization that she's in love with the king, and that Mikasa is the one... and a decision she's going to make is what's going to lead to the curse of the Titans going. I don't know if I would really say Ymir had like a big role. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to say. I mean, it could be the case. It could not be the case. But I think it's too ambiguous for me to like say for certain, But you do have lines like, the attack titans always strive for freedom. But maybe that could just be Eren kind of influencing things. You see, there's so many nuanced, ambiguous things, it's hard to really say with any certainty. Really and truly. Ymir. I'm really thinking about it here though, honestly. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Of course, we have the whole tidbit of her looking through Mikasa's head. I don't know. The more I kind of review the story beats and story details, it probably seems more like minimal at best in terms of Ymir's influence on Eren, essentially. I think it's just mostly Eren, really and truly, and even tying things back to season 3 with Kenny in terms of giving up on your dreams for the greater good, if you could put it like that. I think it's more so Eren seeing that what was needed, what needed to be done in terms of the end of time curse, and giving up on his dream of eliminating the world outside the walls. Essentially, I think it comes down to that, really and truly. But again, those are the five main things I would say kind of drop the ending to a 7 out of 10. I still think Attack on Titan is like in my top 5. Definitely one of the most amazing series ever. But I'm always open to talk about it, man. Honestly, amazing stuff. But again, yeah, Isayama could have just landed things a bit cleaner, to say the least. Honestly, if I could go back and tell him, I would have told him to just take another month and just work on things for an additional months to kind of make things better. Honestly, probably because I remember like getting into the ending and I was saying, yo, Isayama needs to make this 100 pages or something like that, you know, because yo, he just needed that. I also thought that it needed that, bro, because how much of an influence did he have on the past Attack Titans because previous secondary mission and saving cost and armor. Yeah, honestly, it kind of leaves you to wonder and speculate. It's kind of, while I have a problem with a number of the ambiguous plot threads in the story, some of them kind of has you keep thinking like, yo, it could have been this and that. And you know, in terms of what you're saying now, Isaac, some persons would want to just limit it to, okay, no, he might have sent memories to Kruger, and definitely to Grisha, and more like to himself, in the beginning. Those three I could definitely say, yeah, that was the case. I don't know, some persons are still on their AoE theories, so there's that, definitely that. Which I thought the whole AoE theories are really fun and engaging to watch, honestly. That would have been wild as well. But some AoE theories, I think, kind of missed the point of Eren's character too. But that's just me. That's just me. But all in all, awesome series, masterpiece, bro, masterpiece, masterpiece. Wobbly ending, definitely not as, you know, I don't think it's as carefully thought out as everything before. But honestly, awesome. What can I say? So yeah. But we can't even get back to it. Now the next thing is, and Ko, if you're still here, I don't know if your feelings on Boruto have evolved. I don't know, but I was saying it in my reaction review for the Boruto chapter that this man is a glorified custom character now. The man knows Flying Thunder God. That is actually crazy. And my phone just died. Let me just get this to charge. Give me 1 second, people. Do. So yeah, as I was saying, like Boruto right now, I think it's in a good position, but there is the tried and true statement that the series could probably benefit from being a more frequent publication. I know we are on this monthly thing. The way I usually approach these Boruto discussions is not just this in-story stuff, but how it's gonna affect other elements of the or other parts of the franchise. But yeah, because I'm thinking about it. If it were to even like, I doubt they're going to do this, but if when the anime comes back, if they were to even jump to 2 Blue Vortex like as soon as possible, like even if you were to start the anime in 2025, it would still catch up pretty soon, honestly. But I think with how the story is going, they have the perfect setup for the anime to come back and do core, like super qualitative anime only content. But I'll get to that. But anyway, with chapter 4, if we're going off the CM, you know, metric of 4 chapters per volume, then we just essentially finished the first, you know, volume of the time skip. And honestly, I'm really interested in where the story is going to go. I know it's cliche to say like, "Yo, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen next," but really and truly, anything can happen. Like it just seems like they're throwing so many different things at the story. But as I was saying during the reaction review, I think in terms of the latest developments, it is pretty much on. Most of us were really on cue, on spot, on target with our predictions in terms of the Ten Tails becoming sentient and all of that jazz and blues, and things kind of moving from there. But where do I even begin, man? Honestly, so of course we have code that comes back to the base. Boruto knowing Flying Thunder God. And of course, what Boruto warns Code of in terms of messing or tampering with the Ten Tails has somehow caused the Ten Tails to evolve, as they say here. Let me just kind of go back down to this statement. Chakra, driving instinct, love it. Yeah, so thanks to Code. Now, I think this is a nice setup to get more into the lore when it comes on to, say, karma. Especially like specifically the white karma and its like the history of its effects on Code's body. So, it's I think it's a launching pad for that at least. The new villains, quote unquote. I mean, it's interesting from a lore perspective because it is a gateway to potentially learn more about the Shinju, the Otsutsuki, and eventually you can probably have that gateway to develop them into more nuanced, likable antagonists, probably on par with what you would have gotten in Naruto, like parts 1 and 2. But at the same time, it kind of feels wrong to say that because fighting these alien opponents, who obviously being alien, they're not human per se. It seems right to not have them be as like nuanced as, say, probably a lot of the characters like Madara or Pin or Nagato or Zabuzar, etc., etc. But based on how Kishimoto is kind of crafting the story in terms of their instinct to not only just consume chakra but also like knowledge as well, it kind of drives the point home that we can have that pathway for them to become more nuanced, make the story more engaging and dynamic, if you get what I mean, when it comes on to the antagonist and how they'll go about interacting with the persons on the planet. What does that mean for previous Shinju? Will we establish that this Shinju are like these god trees, are they a separate race from the Otsutsuki? And that's what I really want to confirm. I think we're kind of hinting at that, but it's really and truly anybody's guess. And then with so many different, pieces to the puzzle, because of course you have Kashin Koji who's returned and he's working with Boruto. You have Code one side, that's two. You have Team Konoha, which is kind of dicey because you have like essentially Sumere and Sarada on one side there. You have the rest of the omnipotence influence characters in Konoha. You have Kawaki, and then you do have no idea what Ada and Damon are going to do by the end of that there. So there's so many different moving pieces, which I think kind of combines to this stew, this recipe for like, oh, we really have a dynamic story with a lot of moving parts here. And I think again, with all that considered, it really comes down to like, yo, this should have been like even a bi-weekly, like every 2 weeks type of deal, bro, honestly, for them to really juggle all these moving parts in a like an efficient fashion, if you ask me. But all in all, I think volume 1 really sets the pace when it comes on to like the story. I think Boruto has come back, and compared to even Naruto by a long stretch, I think Boruto has come back with like ridiculous amount of skill. I mean, the fact that I'm calling him a custom character should tell you all that needs to be said, really and truly. I mean, Cord hasn't been the most impressive, to be honest, and he keeps taking L's, so kind of moving him out of the main antagonist seat and bringing in the Shinju is a good move, because it kind of leads to like, okay, Code isn't doing the job, we have these new antagonists, but we have the pathway for them to be nuanced antagonists, and potentially we'll see how they, bounce off thing with Code essentially. And it's interesting what Code is going to do as well when you think about it. So there's that. So we kind of have more interesting antagonists, which is a gateway into the lore. And Code, seemingly being set up for, if it's not the greatest turnaround in history, I don't know what's it going to be, honestly, because like every chapter Kishimoto has like a vendetta against this man to like disrespect him every chapter. So I think it's probably set up for that, to say the least. Of course, power scaling wise, I'm interested to get more details on how the Shinju work, because it's kind of coming down to the whole, either, how could I put it, author intent versus how we think about it as fans, right? And I think a good example, like take Dragon Ball Super, right? Based on how things are right now, you think, okay, Goku could easily, multiversal or whatever, but narratively speaking, they still have, Zeno, who can, destroy a universe or like a multiverse or timeline. And it's like, you think Goku should be able to do that, but narratively they kind of put him down below Zeno. And of course he is still below Zeno, but you get what I mean? Because I'm thinking, with everything that Boruto is right now, right? He's 100% Otsutsuki, which, 84% Momoshiki, 16% his unique Otsutsuki DNA. He can tap into the true essence of karma when he goes level 2 and everything. He's gotten training from Sasuke and potentially Kashin Koji. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if this man knows Sage Mode as well. Like, honestly. But he knows Flying Thunder God now as well. Like, these are how you would post skill the 10 tails from the war arc to know. Like, this 10 tails seems like it should be weaker than the 10 tails that was in the war. This shouldn't really be a problem for Boruto. Like, technically, he shouldn't even have had to retreat. So I'm really interested in getting more details in how the power skill or the power is working when it comes on to the Shinju characters, really and truly. Because, okay, if we even take the remaining body that was left outside the remaining claw grime, and we have these 4, Shinju with sentience, right? You'd imagine it's that remaining body split into 4 as well. So, like, I don't know. It just seems like he should be able to take them when I take all the details into consideration. So, there's that. Boruto's Ninja's based from, bro. He has 3 chakra natures. 2 are incorporated Rasengans. Would you like to see a water style? Honestly, let me see. He has a wind style Rasengan. He has a lightning style Rasengan. What else am I missing? Yeah, it's really just that lightning and wind, right? So lightning, wind. Yeah. I mean, if you're counting the anime, yeah. And of course, he has high compression from the anime, which isn't really. Well, it's just still natureless, so yeah. But yeah, a water Rasengan should be interesting. Honestly, this man is a genius, to say the least. But again, with all the parties involved in terms of Kawaki and what he's going to do, I think when it comes down to Kawaki and him being the way he is right now, it's can be a bit annoying to some people, but we have the benefit of the flash forward, which I think heavily hints at Kawaki going through another major character like arc or change. Because if you really interpret the first chapter, the first episode, or the flash forward, obviously Kawaki has transitioned from wanting to killing Boruto to wanting to seal him away, just like Naruto as well. So obviously I think that is going to be something that we'll have to see as well. And the interesting thing is, it seems silly, but I'm even going to as far as saying that even the clothes that Kawaki is wearing right now is representative of where he is as a character. Like, compare it versus like the flash forward. And I know it might just be like, oh, I need better clothes for battle. It could be that, but I really think that Kawaki even going back to clothes similar to what he wore but a bit different from what he's wearing now is representative of an arc that he's going to go on. So I'm interested in seeing things get to that point. And of course, naturally, the tensions that are there between Sorada and Kawaki is going to be another thing to look forward to. And whew, I'm really curious how it's going to go. And then chapter has you asking questions because in this entire volume we still haven't seen like Amado, much less. So I'm expecting to see him in the next volume, hopefully. But yo, it's anybody's guess. And I think with the next volume they need to start including Mitsuki, because from the first chapter we haven't seen this man again. This man just disappeared, just stuck at the house essentially. So I'm interested to see Sorada's arc and how that's going to go, because for the longest while when it comes on to the manga, I feel like they've been left out. They've had moments, and I think they've been setting that that prerequisite, that foundation for them to really get involved in the story. So we need to be seeing that at some point, honestly. I wonder if the Ten Tails will pursue the Otsutsuki on their home planet because they aren't eventually being used, although we haven't seen their home planet other than just the moon and Earth. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's anybody's guess. It comes down to the same question: if are the Shinju, are the Ten Tails, are they like a different species? Are they just an experiment of the Otsutsuki essentially, or what is the case? But the fact that they're seeking more than just chakra now, right? The fact that they're seeking a knowledge. Hold on. Okay. Yes. Hold on, let me skip back down to. Let's see. Yeah, so thirst for knowledge. So it's anybody's guess how that's going to go, honestly speaking. And I mean, we've been saying this for a while. I think it's a nice time for Toneri to get back involved in the story as well. And again, it's just I have to reiterate, like, again, with so many elements, so many moving parts, it seems very hard for this to remain a monthly series, honestly speaking. But all of that aside, we have to talk about Sasuke's final form. Trisuke, yo, honestly, yo. Yo, the memes, bro. Yeah, the cloning on Sasuke has reached astronomical levels because this man just can't catch a break, honestly speaking, when it comes on to the Boruto era. And when it comes on to like the previous gen, and when I say previous gen, I say like Naruto and Sasuke, and their showings in the Boruto era, apart from the whole excuse of being rusty and everything, you know what I think it comes down to? I think it comes down to us as fans taking like the power scaling and remembering every single ability like super seriously and quite literally, versus the author and probably the narrative intentions that he has for the characters and the story, really and truly. Because honestly, I think if it was any of us, a lot of us would have probably portrayed Naruto and Sasuke differently, but still going for the same result of removing them from the story to kind of make way for Boruto and his generation, essentially. But it's still just funny seeing this man become a tree, bro. It's honestly insane. Because it doesn't, as until we get further information, it doesn't look good, because based on how the Claw Grime have been portrayed, they haven't been the greatest thing in the world. It's just really these recent ones with sentience have been like the seemingly the big threats when it stands as it stands right now. So it's like, is it what? Did he push Boruto to the way to save him? Is this part of some other grand plan? What is it? But it just doesn't look good on Sasuke, fam. He just can't catch a break in this series. But I will admit, if you really take just like even the the manga showings and their anime equivalents, it's not bad. It's really that Urashiki arc that really really made it look bad for Sasuke. If I'm being like 100% real with you guys. But it still look away. It really still look away. So I'm interested to see where it's going. I think it has all the elements for the story to really become something special in its own right. And with that said, with all things considered, I think it has all things in place for the mainstream persons who might want to give Boruto a try later on to get a better appreciation for it. I think, yeah, Boruto gets unnecessary hate. I mean, I find it funny because even bigger YouTubers like, say, Rogers Beast or, well, she would have been known as Super Mega Frieza before Jamie. Ooh, no. I've seen them as example cases getting into Boruto and they actually like it. So I'm like saying the hate must have been coming from somewhere. But granted, I will say that, yeah, it's not still not as, I don't know, what do you guys say? Like, as it stands right now, Part 1 Boruto versus Part 1 Naruto. Granted, I would still say Part 1 Naruto, but I honestly don't think Boruto is bad, all things considered right now. So there's that. But going into the how this is going to affect things with the anime, right? Because with the anime, we would have left off from chapter 67 from pre-time skip, give or take. You know, after Boruto revised from quote-unquote death and all of that. So they're at a good spot where they can adapt the remaining 12 to 13 chapters and flesh it out. And then even potentially do a movie. If not, I do vaguely remember them announcing they'll probably be doing like a Sarada gets her 3 Tomoe arc. Because, you know, in the anime, she doesn't have her 3 Tomoe yet. They're doing that a bit differently. But doing that, we can do the whole, you know, conflicts and interactions between Sasuke and, you know, Boruto and Code and them on being on the run during the time skip and thing. But it has to be very qualitative. I think the anime would be in a good spot to really adapt that or really tell those stories, the in-between. If not, do a movie. Then you know, doing it in episodic format, it has to be qualitative. It has to be something that isn't too drawn out. It's almost like that, you know, you have a nice 12 episodes core or season of anime. Like, okay, we adapt the next 13 chapters, we do this Sarada 3 Tomoe thing. If we're doing episodes, we do Sasuke and Boruto on the run. We see the fights with Code, the Clog Rhyme, getting back to Kashin Koji, just kind of feed us with like one after the other, like these interesting like narrative points of interest that persons want to see from the manga explored, but just with a bit of, you know, expanding on that just a bit. I think that would be the perfect thing, honestly. Is that feature has different clothes in the manga and anime from the new time skip clothes? They say, will they say that what we saw was an alternate timeline, or will they just leave it? I mean, they could do that, but I think it's more so, I know some person will say that this Boruto we see in the manga might be still a bit younger than what we see in the anime, but it could be a case of like, I mean, it's been what, 7-8 years since Boruto started, so that's crazy to think about. It's crazy to think about. Next year makes 8 years since Boruto started. But anyway, it could be a case of the art just kind of evolving, and then maybe when we get to the flash forward, we'll probably, if this is literally the same Boruto that we're gonna be seeing in flash forward, we'll probably just have him being represented as such with the same design now in the flash forward, because again, the art has improved or, you know, changed since chapter 1. I don't know if I want to go into alternate timeline and thing or not like that right now. You know, it could be interesting given the anime only arc of, you know, the time travel and the turtle and all of that. But it depends on how they pull it off. But I think it's more of a case of the arts just evolving and thing. So there's definitely that. But the different factions between Boruto and Kashin Koji, Sarada and Sumire, Ada and Daemon, the omnipotence fueled world, Kawaki, Code, that's a lot of different sub factions when you think about it. But between all of them, Code being replaced as the antagonist, the main antagonist right now, and what that means for Code himself and the new antagonists themselves, and the potential revelations we can get from that lore wise for the Otsutsuki, and the potential developments we can have between the Otsutsuki and the Shinju gaining intelligence, could open up a nice can of, okay, we can see the Otsutsuki in a new light. It's just the potential in the long term I'm really looking at. But again, us asking a bunch of questions in terms of Kashin Kojino, how in terms of how he bumped up into Boruto, where was Kashin Koji all this time, the power scaling, fairly enough, like for fair question, like questioning the power scaling really and truly, and the nuance of how the Shinju people clones really works, like, you know, Shinjusuke, if I can put it like that. So a lot of different aspects going on in this, man. This is really something to look forward to. And the fact that Naruto and Sasuke aren't dead for the far future, what is the long term for Naruto and Sasuke? Because I would imagine Naruto is coming back at some point. And you know, Sasuke is a tree, which is still funny. But I would imagine he's coming back at some point. Will they have one last hurrah at, like, later on in the story? It's anybody's guess. And I still have to be asking, like, why Boruto isn't using karma, little stuff like that. So it's anybody's guess. But anyway, since I've been going for a little over an hour now, I don't know, depending on you guys, I will do the whole, you know, opening up the voice chat if you guys want to really join in. Of course, link is in the description here. So if you guys want to jump in and join and talk to me over voice instead of me just yapping about here, then let me know. But outside of all of that, I want to ask you guys, like, who are here and probably will be rewatching the stream, did you guys buy Naruto X Boruto Storm Connections? Because I was planning to get it, but I kind of held off again, and I'm like, I don't know if it's really worth it. But based on the videos I've seen, persons are enjoying it, but in the grand scheme of things, the vibe I get is that it's not, like, genuinely, like, worth it, at least, you know, for the fact that, you know, Storm 4 was basically what, 7 years ago, give or take. I don't know, man. Because, like, initially, and I've said it before in previous streams, initially when Storm Connections was shown, right, I'm saying this doesn't really seem all that. I seem more impressive the more trailers came out, because I thought it would have literally been all 4 Storm games, like, in one. But even the history mode I've seen doesn't really have everything. And see, persons, trash, X sucks. I don't know, man. We need a solid next generation Naruto game, because at the end of the day, we're not going to be dropping the Naruto name for, like, marketing purposes. It still holds too much weight. Even though I will admit Boruto is good, it still doesn't carry that weight when you hear Naruto, you know? So we need a definite, like, a genuine next generation Naruto game, and a genuine Boruto movie as well, which is something I subscribe to when it comes on to, like, after we've reached chapter 80 and adapt it, instead of doing it episodically, I say just do a movie. Similar to, like, how they did, like, Jujutsu Kaisen season 1 and then went to doing, you know, JJK 0, the movie, and then went into season 2. I think that would be a good move. It'd be interesting to test the waters now to see how like a Boruto movie would do after coming back with the Omnipotence arc, and probably like a Sarada Yasura 3 Tomoe Sharingan arc or something like that. So there's that. But honestly, fam, I don't know. But I guess we'll see what happens if we do something, not if, but when we do something beyond storm connections. Honestly, it's just not it. It's just not it, honestly. But here's what I've seen, like, for example, Afro Syndrome.
Do something that's just counterproductive.
We'll just turn this down. Shout out to Afro. Leave a like, of course.
Productive to everything I built up, and I want to go on rank with Momoshiki. I'm not.
No pressure, man. This is the subscriber stream. Like, throw anything, any random topic at me. But so Trader is done. Can't take much more. It's IoT all over again. Yeah, you know, I haven't watched today's episode of JJK yet. After I'm done with this stream, the plan is to get something to eat and then watch the episode. But I had heard what would have been happening to Nobara for quite a while now. I don't remember where I glimpsed it, but it's been over a few months that I heard about it and Nanami, and bruh, I kinda wish I was spoiler free. Like, even like for some of the recent stuff in the manga, like, I just, for the curiosity of it, certain fights I checked out, you know, the controversial split in half. If you know, you know. And yo, honestly, based on how even the anime is going right now, especially those fights with Sukuna and Toji and everything, honestly, when Mappa, no, if Mappa gets to, based on, you know, what I've been hearing with Mappa in the community, if Mappa gets to that split in half fight, honestly, yo, it's going to break the internet. I have no doubt about that. Yo, so honestly, JJK be going crazy, dog. Honestly, nah, like, it's awesome. I know some person were complaining about the animation for that Sukuna episode and everything, but honestly, I really like those episodes. The Sukuna episode, the Mahagaraga, Makora, depends on how it's pronounced, and of course the Toji and Megumi episode with, of course, Sukuna and Jogo. Yo, it was just wild, fam, honestly. And as I mentioned that, so you have Jamie Uu here. I'm interested to see her reaction, because the tears give me power. So yo, honestly. But after this season is done, I'm wondering how long it's going to be before the next season of JJK, given everything that's happening with Mappa. So yeah. Oh well, forgot I have all these comments covering the screen here. Let's see if I go back to this here or this. Yeah. Oh shit. I'm gonna show this a better way. And just drop the chats below. Yeah, fine. Can't work with that. But yeah, honestly, like, it's hard to say when season 3 is going to drop, because given how things are going on Mappa, I don't know, fam. Zemba's guess. Man, how's going to do works? That was perfect. It was done. Interesting. It would have cost a ton. It was a pure dismantling instruction. Yeah, dog. But yo, I'm not gonna lie. Like, certain times through the episode, let me say, yo, what's happening, fam? Like, like, it's so chaotic. I just loved it, honestly. It is just chef's kiss, malevolent kitchen. Yes, me. Yo, I guess pun intended there. So, yo, it was just beautiful, dog. Beautiful. Oh, honestly, there's one thing I should have said at the start of the stream, even though I'll probably say it for the next in the month subscribe stream, which we're going for the legendary 5 hours again. Well, that's the plan, at least. Gonna invite the guys and thing. But anyway, thanks for 3,000 subs. Even though the last 1,000 persons, I objectively and honestly will say it's not because of my hard work for the last 1,000 persons who subbed. But again, thanks for 3,000. You know, little by little, I suppose. But no, it's interesting. This YouTube experience has been very chaotic, ups and downs. Burnout and can't bother to, oh, let's do this, we're hitting 1 million. You know, it kind of comes in waves in my head, to say the least. But yeah, respect for 3,000 subs, people. So shout out to all of you. So yeah, But you know, the next interesting topic, since we mentioned JJK, is that recent JJK game that came out, and I think the topic of when it comes on to the age-old discussion
By
of
any
like
means,
anime
but I
games
forgot that he had
just
Awakening. That's whole. No,
anime games
new.
just
It's new
not
from the last
really
game.
being up to par and thing. I'll turn this down a bit. Yeah, in terms of the whole question of or discussion of anime games not being up to par or things just being shortchanged when it comes on to anime games, I mean, in terms of the gaming scene right now, I'm not the biggest gamer really and truly, but there is that thing of games being done like shipped out unfinished, and then the perception that you're getting the rest of you're paying for the rest of the game through DLC. It's I don't know, man. It just doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. And yeah, true, one cocoa full basket. I don't lie. But yeah, I mean, even with Storm connections, I don't know what was the big rush in terms of getting this game out, for example. I mean, seeing the game like in 60 frames per second looks nice. The tweaks they've made to the combat system seem interesting, but I don't know, man. Like a lot of persons have said, Storm Connections could have just been like a DLC for Storm 4. So there's that, honestly. I don't know. If any of you guys eventually try it out, let me know. I don't know if I'll get it. Maybe if it goes on sale, on special, I'll maybe get it. But I'm not jumping for it at this point, honestly. But as I'm hinting at, it kind of makes me interesting to see what would be the next like full blown like genuine next generation like Naruto game, or even just the next generation of anime games, really and truly. Um, I mean the possibilities are endless. So there's that. Oh, also, I'm late to this party as well, but if you have not checked out Pantheon, definitely check it out. I finished the last episode today, and it's definitely like if you're like no, I mean, who am I kidding? You guys more like science fiction and speculative looks on what the future of humanity might look like, and the social, economic, and I guess philosophical, existential, moral, tensions and dilemmas that arise from scientific progression. Listen, just check out Pantheon. just check it out. Honestly, it's an awesome watch. You guys who have been watching for a while and who's probably re-watching the stream know I have an issue in terms of jumping into new series. I have a bunch of things I should be checking out and all the things I need to finish. But like sometimes when I start something and it really grabs me, like me just have to binge it. And Pantheon was just one of those series. Even though personally I think the end could have been a bit better in terms of how it was paced, or certain things that should have been explicitly said or fleshed out a bit more. But just check out Pantheon. Let me just pull it up so in case you're not familiar. Animated, of course, yes. This Pantheon, yeah. So yeah, it's just awesome. So just check it out. So pretty much that. But outside of that, I will say for next month's stream, no promises, but for the last 2 years we've done like 5-hour streams for that final stream for the year, and they're usually fun because we usually have a lot of persons on it. The plan is to of course have the usual persons like Kyle, Paradox, Andrew, of course the Cloud, Ninja Podcast guys, Mello, and everybody there. So yeah, it's gonna be very stacked. Of course, I haven't reached out to them yet, but the plan is to reach out to them from early to at least at least book it, because more like that stream is going to be. Let me just bring up my calendar here. It's going to be on the 30th, Because it doesn't make sense to me to do it on like New Year's Eve nights, because of course persons are going to want to go out, so why not this Saturday? So yeah, December 30th seems like the final stream for the year. We're going to have it at that time, so yeah. So that should be fun and interesting to say the least. But let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna just drop, there's not much persons here. Pool, yeah. Boruto Part 1. This Naruto Part 1. Naruto Part 1. Have you seen the One Piece anime? Are you still caught up manga wise? Like, it's true, bro, but Jesus, plus I haven't seen the voice on Church over. In terms of the One Piece anime, the plan was to do reaction reviews on all the Year 5 episodes, which I did up to I think 1075 or 1076. I think I might double check that. So I'm not up to date with the One Piece anime. In terms of the manga, I think I'm 4 chapters behind. I think 1095 was the last one I read. So I need to catch up on that. And then the 10 episodes behind that I am with the anime itself, because with you see with One Piece now, like I dropped off in Dressrosa. I would have started reading the manga from the end of Punk Hazard. Like when the manga was like at the end of Punk Hazard, I started reading then. And I would have read up until a part way into Dressrosa and then dropped off. And I was watching the anime up until I think 690 something, which was Dressrosa. And then I binged the manga from like there to all through Whole Cake to Wano, and I'm like, yo, shit, I was missing a lot. And then I just never really got back into like consistently watching the anime. It was only like select episodes from Wano, and I was just sticking with the manga. So right now I'm just like 4 episodes, 4 chapters behind. And yeah, it look like, honestly, the thing with it being 1,000+ episodes is just, it's a pacing issue. If the One Piece anime was really paced the way I think it should have been paced, you could have really cut down those 1,000+ episodes to maybe even 600, honestly. Like if you still kind of give room to kind of expand on certain things or expand on fight scenes, yeah, I think you could cut the 1,000+ episodes down to like 600 or even 700. I usually say like Naruto has more filler. It's just really a pacing issue when it comes down to One Piece, because when I think of One Piece filler, the first filler I think about is after Arlong Park. I think after leaving Logtown, or was it before getting Logtown? I think from like episode 50 to like 60 there or so, and then. The next filler I could think of is like some dream filler in the like the 120s, I think. Yeah, I like One Piece filler doesn't stand out to me, honestly. It just doesn't. So yeah, pretty much. Nah. I mean, there is filler, but I just think it's just more of a pacing issue if you ask me. So yeah. But yo, I need to catch up on those 4 chapters when it comes on to the manga right now, because yo, I'm not gonna lie, ever since Wano ended, yo, it's just been straight heat, like just I don't know, dog, chapter after chapter, Oda just I don't know, it's just been hype, engaging. You're looking for what's happening. You're looking forward to what's gonna happen next. Feels like we are connecting so many different pieces of the story for this final saga. Yo, it's just amazing, dog, honestly. So I would hope that the anime would take a break, because yo, even though with how production is for One Piece, awesome, but I still say they should take a break. But that's just me. That's just me. But you know what's interesting too? I will say that I haven't been reading the Dragon Ball Super manga since the superhero, content started. But the fact that content is that arc is ending in the manga, no, I'm kind of curious what's gonna happen for Dragon Ball Super next as well. So that's interesting. Something to look forward to there as well. I might still binge over the superhero content to see the changes for myself, like that, pre-code Goten and Trunks and all of that. But I know I'm not really missing too much, so that's gonna be interesting too. But anyway, it is what it is. I am starving, and saying this is more so along the lines of probably one of my shorter end of month subscriber streams. It is what it is. We'll make up for it next month, and I definitely want to get something to eat and still have work tomorrow. So, but at the very least, this makes it easier for persons who will be rewatching the stream. And again, I just want to re-emphasize the Attack on Titan discussion never ends. We'll be talking about that even more than likely. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, respect for coming out. Thanks for 3,000 subs again. Of course, Co-Spirit, Isaac, of course, you've been here, man. You guys, just respect. Shout out to you guys. So, I'm gonna get something to eat and then chillax until work tomorrow. So, guys, I'll see you in the next video / stream. And yeah, respect. Hope you guys are awesome, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, I don't know, I don't want to make any promises, but let's see if we can do some more videos again for December. Yeah, see you guys in the next one.